Okay, I'm proud that I'm a farmer. I'm confident that with this farm I can further my children's education. So it is something like a social security for me, not only me but the entire family. So I'm proud to be a farmer.
Ebenezer Oredu farms in the Kwaibibrim district in the eastern region, where, on 27 acres of land, he is raising what is known around the world as the wonder crop, oil palm. So what makes oil palm so special? Firstly, per hectare, it is the highest yielding vegetable oil crop in the world. It's hard to imagine that the oil from this humble fruit is used in soaps, cosmetics, margarine, Maggi cubes, even ice cream, and there's huge international demand for it. But what makes oil palm totally unique is the fact that the fruit produces not one, but two distinctly different oils, one from the flesh and one from the nut.
That is the palm oil and the kernel oil. And I've not seen any seed or any fruit in the world which has two kinds of oils.
Lawrence Atrim is Technical Director of Ghana Oil Palm Development Company, or GOPDC. It was set up by government in 1975 with the specific aim of diversifying agriculture in an area dominated by cocoa production. And it worked.
Our fathers were dependent on cocoa. And during the 1980s, when there was a falling price of cocoa, many of them refused to go into cocoa farming. And when the oil palm came, it's helping them enough. But they are getting money, even more than cocoa.
The palms, almost every 2 weeks you get your yield, but cocoa is once for the year. And for that much, if you are a cocoa farmer, within 6 months, your money is finished. But as for palms, almost every 2 weeks you get your little.
Yeah, the whole year. Sometimes it will go small. By June, you won't get it plenty. I won't get this and this one plenty. But every day, every 2 weeks, you get a little.
Farmers Ebenezer Uredu, Afum Donko, and Francis Appiah are all vital members of the GOPDC family, and examples of how the advent of oil palm and GOPDC have impacted on the economy of the region.
Before GOPDC, people around were mostly subsistence farmers. With the advent of GOPDC, they've seen the good part of commercial farming.
But let's go back a little. GOPDC was divested in 1995, and its majority shareholder today is SEAT of Belgium. And since privatization, production has soared.
In 1979, we started with only 20 farmers. Now we have 6,000 farmers.
We have only a small nucleus estate, which is our industrial plantation. We are working a lot with the local people here. What are we doing? We are working with farmers. They have the land to plant the oil palm. So we are giving them a loan to plant oil palm and then to supply the fruit to us.
We have been supplied with seedlings, fertilizers and other things. And with the inputs, it's a form of a loan. So whenever you send our products to the GOPDC, a small amount of money is deducted to replace the loan.
The way GOPDC operates is that we are the bankers, the financiers of the farmers.
The loan is in kind, consisting of quality seedlings grown here at the GOPDC nursery, and fertilizers and technical support. And it's on very favorable terms. Because the oil palm takes 7 years to bear fruit, farmers are given a 7-year grace period on the loan and 15 years to pay it off.
So no wonder that the farmers are interested in planting and planting and planting. Yeah, but that's the objective of the entire exercise.
Because GOPDC's access to land is limited, and the outgrowers, who together have planted 14,000 hectares of oil palm, are a vital resource for GOPDC. It's a win-win situation. GOPDC gets the raw material it needs to produce oil, and the farmers have a ready market for their produce.
Last year, for instance, this 5-acre farm, I harvested 30 tons.
And what's that worth?
And I realized about 11.5 million out of it. It's quite a money for me.
Through the farmers buying produce, GOPDC injects an average of $2.5 million into the community each year, with major impact on social development in the district.
When you look at the time when the project wasn't around, but that time when you see it, you become very sorry. But now, you see that most of the people are enjoying, because you see some people are just put up very nice buildings here and there. That is so they compare themselves in the community a lot.
I got the children who attended the university, Legon, one of the IPS, one of UTech.
People get money to build houses. People get money to further their children's education. GOPD itself is also providing some essential services to the community.
How do we do?
Like building schools, assisting communities with electrification projects, sinking water wells, and maintaining 400 kilometers of roads in the region. But the creation of employment is perhaps the most vital contribution here. The nucleus estate employs 400 permanent workers, but it doesn't end there.
GOPD is creating employment for me first. I intend to create a lot of employment for others, because I use the pay I get each month also to finance my farm projects.
Ebenezer Oredu employs 2 permanent farm workers and numerous casual laborers, according to the season. And the pattern repeats itself on farms throughout the district. Working as harvesters, pickers, and carriers, thousands of young men and women are gaining economic independence.
If you can get your daily bread, why do you go and hustle in the city without any employment? And you see that even some of the people who went there to the city are coming back.
And then there's the processing plant.
It has created a lot of employment for many people here. I am now one. I've been employed for the past 23 years and still working here.
Ebenezer, like many other workers here, plays 2 roles. He provides the company with fruit as an outgrower and works in the plant. When he joined the company, it was as a farm laborer in the fields. Today, he's a senior machine operator in the clarification plant.
So this, what I'm doing to contribute my quota to the development of GOPDC and Ghana as a whole. So I'm proud of what I'm doing.
Let's look at the oil production process. It's wonderfully simple. It begins here where the fruit, fresh from the farms and still in its bunches, is cooked and sterilized in huge ovens. The fruit is then separated from the bunches and put into a simple screw press where, under pressure, the oil is extracted.
Then the crude oil is now sent to the clarification system for purification and drying, and it becomes a clean oil like this.
The red palm oil that we all know. But the process isn't over yet. Phase 2 begins with the palm oil's residue of fiber and nuts.
Then it goes to a system where the nuts and the fiber are separated.
The nuts are then dried and cracked, and the kernel is extracted, which, when treated with pressure, yields its own distinctive product.
And this is the kernel oil. So you realize that in this fruit that we have seen, this gives you the palm oil from the flesh, and inside which the seed, which is the kernel, is, it gives the kernel oil.
The beauty of the system is that absolutely no chemicals are used anywhere in the process, and all byproducts or waste go straight back into the system. Take the fiber and shells, for example. These are burnt in the boiler to provide the heat to create steam. The steam, in turn, runs the turbine to create electricity, which powers the machines. And the recycling doesn't end there. The empty fruit bunches are returned to the fields and laid out in lines between the trees. This prevents soil erosion and helps maintain humidity. It also increases activity of microorganisms in the soil, and, as the bunches slowly decompose, they feed the trees with vital nutrients. It's a natural fertilizer.
This plantation, for more than 4 years now, we didn't use any chemical anymore.
The nucleus plantation is totally organic. That means that not only are no chemical fertilizers used, but no pesticides or herbicides either. When you work in harmony with nature, there are natural solutions. This densely planted ground cover, for example, controls the weeds. Maintaining biodiversity is another vital tool.
That means that we plant only the lowlands with oil palms, and the uplands we try to keep the natural vegetations, which is actually a pool of insects and birds and everything, which will go and eat the insects which damage the palm trees.
These islands of natural forest, scattered throughout the plantation, are a reservoir and sanctuary for wildlife of all kinds. But they have another vital function. Destruction of the natural forest in the region has, quite literally, halved the rainfall over the last 20 years.
So what we are trying to do is, we are building patches of rainforest to even attract the rain, so that we have actually a better yield in the lowlands.
But organic farming comes at a cost. Labor. This is Okumening, a newly cultivated plantation. A year ago, this was a grassland, and most farmers would use herbicides to clear it. But because of the company's commitment to organic farming, every blade of grass is being removed by hand. A hugely time and labor-consuming task, but a major benefit to the community.
Right now we have almost about 500 people working at this area. Last month, for instance, we placed almost 20 million cedis to the workers around this area. Within the so a lot of money goes into the surrounding villages.
Again, it's the win-win partnership at work, and the commitment to exploiting neither the land nor the people, and sharing the spoils. In recognition of the work being done here, GOPDC won a major award at the World Summit for Sustainable Development last year.
And we are actually the only plantation in the whole world who is now certified by the WWF of producing sustainable palm oil. And in Switzerland, for example, Migros, which is the biggest supermarket chain, they came here last year and they decided to stop buying palm oil from Malaysia, Indonesia, and only buy palm oil from GOPDC, because they have seen what we are doing here and they were so impressed. And they are actually making it now a policy from them that they only buy from plantations like ours. At present, the only one that they have found is GOPDC.
World demand for oil palm is growing by the day, and the opportunities are huge, not only for GOPDC, but for Ghana too.
We have to look at it as a country. Oil palm alone stands a very, very good chance of improving our agricultural economy.
President Kufuor agrees. After visiting Malaysia, the world's biggest producer of oil palm last year, he announced a special initiative on the industry. But as JC Nkumsa points out, in order to grow, the industry needs land, and they don't have it.
This country and its land tenure system is always a bane in the interest of any investor. You cannot move forward in agricultural development when we have all these complex land tenure systems in this country.
So there's always problem with chieftaincies, with who is the owner of the land. Is it the government? Is it this stool? Is it that stool?
In terms of accessing land for increased production, the outgrowers play a vital role. But they can't expand either. They don't own the land they work on. They are tenant farmers.
I want to expand the farm, but one problem we are having these days is land acquisition. It's very difficult to acquire land. People have to you see, the landowners themselves have realized that the tenant farmers are getting money from the farm. So the landowners nowadays want to do the farm themselves. They don't want to release the farm to tenant farmers.
It's a problem because there will be a time the landlord will ask me to fell these trees. Yeah. And if I'm not lucky, after felling, he will take off the land from me.
If you get the land, I think it's better. Because this one, you work for the owner, the landlord is staying, doing practically nothing.
It is ingrained in our life. It is entrenched so much that I think that I cannot imagine any government having the courage, even together with our chiefs and our landlords, to be able to say that, look, enough is enough.
But Minister for Food and Agriculture, Major Courage Kwashiga, urges caution.
Here in Ghana, the traditional rulers are really very powerful people. And they own the land. And it's going to be difficult for a government at this time, when we are even in a democratic dispensation, rule of law and all that, to just get up and say, as for this land, we are annexing it is for government. We will go through due process.
The Lands and Forestry Ministry, he says, is currently developing a national land use plan. They are identifying viable farmland countrywide and putting a commercial price tag on it. The land will then be sold to government on a willing seller, willing buyer basis. In this way, government will build up a land bank of agricultural holdings that will then be made available to investors like GOPDC and the outgrowers.
That is being tackled with such speed that has never happened, in this country before.
Government is promising major change and, in good faith, GOPDC is acting on it. In the next 2 years, the company will spend $12 million building a refinery and fractionation plant.
Value addition means that we are not only going into the market with crude palm oil, but we are now going into the market with refined products.
And in the year 2005, it intends listing the company on the stock exchange, giving every Ghanaian a stake in its future. GOPDC is going places, and it's taking the people with it.
We are changing people's lives, and we are changing the environment. We are empowering people economically in this community. I believe that GOPDC has done tremendously well.
If we want to do something for this country, I think that's the way we should do it. Create more employment, create wealth, and distribute it to the people.